Hey there, how's it going? You know, today I have to go drop off the truck to get inspected. It's that annual thing we have to do in Pennsylvania. And honestly, it's a little behind. You know, you sort of forget sometimes when you're not maybe quite as much on the calendar as you used to be. So I threw the bike in the back of the truck. Oh, it's heavy. I grabbed the new Micro Monster and Venom combo, and we'll throw those on the bike. And I'm throwing on the wading boots. And I'm throwing my glasses on the ground. And the reason I grabbed the bike today is that a stretch of my favorite local creek that I've never fished is probably only about 10 or 15 minutes away by bike. Okay, if I remember correctly, it's just on the other side of this tunnel. So now the real question is, this is a pretty steep descent down here, while I really don't feel like trying to handle the bike on the way down, because, you know, with the battery and the motor and all that stuff, it adds like an extra probably 30 pounds. I really don't want to deal with it coming back up that hill. I need to take a little bit of a risk and stash the bike somewhere, maybe up here, and then we'll go hit the water. That spot looks pretty good because it's up in there and you can't see it from down here. So you'd almost have to go walking through the woods to find it. Now for the final descent. This is a well-traveled path. And part of why I originally wanted to fish here was I think it was last year, might have even been 2 years ago. And it was definitely last year. I was riding the bike just for fun, and I stopped at this bridge to look over, and I saw some big fish, whether they were carp or bass, I don't know. But then shortly after, a little over a year ago, there was a fungicide spill, presumably from the golf course across the stream, that created a big fish kill, and it started right about here. All kinds of unknowns. New rod, new location, a spot that supposedly had a potential fish kill last year. There definitely was one. I just don't know if it really started here or not, because obviously all the dead fish showed up downstream. About ready to give it and this looks like it's got some depth in here. So my plan was to fish this pool and then work upstream actually. But this pool looks fairly long, so depending on how things go. This is it looks like it's pretty well adjusted. It's going to be first cast with the Micro Monster. I do have the Venom Master Trout on here. It's a little bit of a risk to fish this creek with this light of a setup, in my opinion, just because there are some big smallmouth. This is the creek where I catch a lot of my big smallmouth. But we're going to go with mostly smaller stuff. I'm starting with the Eurotackle B-Vibe. Ooh, wow. You know, I had a fish right off on first cast. It was small, which was sort of what I was planning on. But I tell you what, this thing casts so far awesome. It might be the best casting I've had with this light of a lure. It's supposed to potentially, oh, there's one. There's one. I don't have the drag set real well yet. I think it's a little smallie, but I'm not really sure yet. And I think he just threw the bait. Yep. Okay, drag wasn't set right. That's all part of dialing in the new reel, right? But that's a good sign. I mean, 3 casts, I've had 3 or 4 casts. I had 2 fish on. Just when I'm just trying to dial this in and get the feel for it. So okay, that was a little bit of an overrun. Not one of them crazy looking bugs. I don't like spiders, so if I think I have a spider on me, I tend to. That was definitely spool tension on that one. Oh, that's a better fish. A little bit better fish. Maybe I can hold this one. It's another smallie. It's a small smallie, but it feels great on this really light rod. He's a jumper. There we go, first fish landed. So far we're off to a great start. Oh, get the glasses out of the way. Yeah, I mean, fat little guy. Definitely healthy. And part of me is just trying to fish the same sort of general spot a few times just to really get the feel for the combo, and you know, hope I sort of have the reel dialed in before I start trying to fish some spots that maybe aren't as wide open. There's a lot of overhanging trees. And I really expected to catch some rock bass, and some sunfish, some bluegill. That was the intent with this setup, was to be able to fish my lightest stuff. I feel like because of where I'm trying to make a little bit longer cast, I'm getting a small overrun. There's another little smallie. I'm getting a small overrun right at the end. And you know, maybe some of you, especially if you're new here, are wondering like, why am I netting such a small little bass, right? But there he is. Back in May, I broke a rod just when a bass flipped when I was trying to pick him up on a much larger rod. This rod is rated for, I can't remember, 0.8 grams, I think. Yeah, 0.8 to 5 grams. So, you know, a quarter ounce is probably pushing it for this particular rod. So any fish, although it's got a nice bend action, it's not like super fast or anything, and I really don't feel like I've ever loved a really fast rod. I definitely like a medium fast or a moderate rod, and so this one feels like, you know, maybe it's just because it's so light, it feels a little bit more towards the medium fast size. So it'll bend a good bit. Really be interesting to see how it handles a bigger fish if we get into one. The smallies definitely seem like they're up here on this seam. So even just on a really small jig like this, I've got these fish just grabbing the tail. Ooh, man, that was a long cast. You know, with any new rod and reel setup, it's just, you know, this process of constant adjustment, right? And so, you know, as I get an overrun or as I feel like the brakes are holding me back, I make a little adjustment. That one was mid-air, so add just a little bit of brake in. It's just funny because like you get a really long cast. Oh, no, it's brakes. It's definitely brakes. But even then, I'll say that the overruns so far, knock on wood, have not been too bad. It feels like probably another smallie. Yeah, little guy, but he wants to stay down. He's practicing on his digging. Oh, he's out. Another smallie. And so with all the ones that I've lost, I sort of already lost track. I'm not really paying attention to count the fish today. But it feels like the good start to the day when you're just trying to dial things in, and I think what's happening is, you know, these are shipped with a lot of lubrication typically, and I didn't open this up to check it, but I think, there's a little turtle. I think what's happening is as I cast it, it's sort of loosening in a little bit, loosening up, breaking in. Combination of those two is loosening in. Figure out what I need to do to get back to that really good smooth casting. Oh, there we go. I had the brakes down. It was acting like the spool tension, just because it felt like it was blowing up towards the end just a little bit. Maybe the brakes on this are just that good. Catch anybody else? Okay, now let's see. Can we do a nice underhand cast? Or backhanded cast, or whatever, forehand. What is it? I think that's a backhand. Well, time to get in the water. See how deep it is out here, and then we'll work upstream a little bit. Damn. Well, maybe I'm not getting in the water out here. I tell you what, this is deeper and quite frankly cooler than I thought it was going to be. There we go, got it off. So that's cool. Not the water, but the fact that we're able to save the lure. So I think I'm just going to go up here, fish the bridge first. That way when I come back to leave, I can fish whatever I've got on at that point through the bridge as well. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, this time of year has to be expected. They're in the current. Okay, now this little guy, probably not smallest of the year, but I'm not going to worry about netting him. Oop, he's gone. So far, the sensitivity of this rod feels pretty good. And the few times that I've caught stuff caught rocks, you know, bounced them off of them, I've been able to feel it. Ooh, fairly straight, and that feels like it's a little bit shallow. Oh man, that was a nice strike. There he came back. Oh, and I missed him a second time. There's another one. Also a little guy. Now it's like as I get up into the rapids up here, I'm getting tiny little guys. He's really pretty though. He had a cool water aquarium. That would have been a nice fish. I mean, the view seems amazing here. I mean, it's a beautiful section of creek to be relatively urban, but you're literally probably just a mile off of two major highways. It's not like this is out in the country and remote. Well, that one just sort of took hold of it and was swimming. Really didn't even seem upset that he just had the tail of it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to fish this little run right here, just this left side, because you know I'll get up in there and start messing with it. I'm gonna. Oh man, that was a nice fish. And I don't know if that was it felt nice because he was in the current, or if that was really that nice of a fish. You know, it's one of those moments when you know you pretty much make the perfect cast, right? And you say, okay, this is where I'm going to fish. And first cast, you hook into maybe the nicest fish of the day. In a way, you feel good, right? Because it's like, well, I read that right. I made the right cast. But then the fish gets off and you can't complete the deal. You know, when you fish across current, at least in my experience. Ooh. Another little guy. of fishing across current gives the fish just a little bit more time to hit it. And even with trout, I know a lot of people say you should fish, you know, with the lure coming downstream. And I've caught some that way, but I catch most of my trout with the lure. Oh, there's somebody hit that right. Maybe I'm wrong about this side being done because I was over there screwing around, because he hit that right at the bottom. He might have followed it all the way in, but fished that other side. This has enough casting distance that I don't feel compelled to. I think I got a little fish there. Well, I was going to say I don't feel compelled to have to go out in there, but I wish he would. I don't know if he's still on or not. He probably took me off, because there's also some little fish up in here. I caught a couple up on the rocks. Again, they're little, so it wouldn't be a huge loss, but yeah, I'd say he's off by this point. And there's the lure. There's somebody. I don't think he's as big as he's acting. I think he's just in the current. And it's funny, these guys, man, well, he's the biggest one in a while. Come here. It's pretty too. Come here, little buddy. There we go. So I know these fish have been current oriented pretty much all summer in this creek, which makes sense. You know, it oxygenates the water. But I'm got a couple bites right there at the end. But I'm kind of wondering, like, if this is enough to maybe have some bigger fish holding up along these deeper sections. It's been a lot of fun with this rod. It's been a while since I fished one section of this creek this long. I mean, I've really barely moved at all compared to what I normally do. Here's a nice stretch of bank I can mostly fish without getting in the water. So let's just go through this bush here. It's kind of crazy to do this instead of just walking around, maybe. Oh. It's actually a little pile of rocks right here. So I'm gonna sort of work up to and past it on both sides if I can. There's something. Not sure what it is. Oh, I got off. It didn't feel like a bass. It almost felt like a creek chub. Could have been a bluegill. It was just holding on to it though. So there's a decent pile of rocks down there. Yeah, brushed them again because I'm out a good bit from the ones I can see. That feels like a bass. That little guy. There we go. Oh, jeez. I was already looking to go downstream and something nailed it right there on the edge. Maybe I need to fish this bank a little bit more. There's a little pile of rocks over there, and it looks like there's some rocks that are down in the water too, and it's creating a little bit of a current break. So that's the spot that I've been fishing. Oh, thank goodness the mower stopped for a little bit. So I've really been trying to work that area a little bit, just because it's got more structure with what looks to be deeper water around it. It does seem like, though, that for the most part the fish are still stacked in the current driven areas. I don't know why, but man, my hands are really jittery today. I only had 1 cup of coffee too. And I know black was working, but I just really like the way purple has worked for me this year. Wow. And this light head, it actually almost, I mean, it's got great action, first of all, but it sinks so slow. I kind of feel like the Donkey Tail Junior might have been a better choice. There we go. So that was on slack line. This feels like a bigger fish too. That was on slack line. I could feel him pick it up. So now I'm going back on my decision to made exactly the right decision. I don't think he's giant, but he's definitely the biggest one of the day, I would say. And that's kind of what I was hoping, is that by going with the bigger lure, I could I tell you what, based on this fish, if I catch a real giant, I don't know if this rod can handle it. I mean, this is a fight and a half right now. But I definitely just felt him come up and hail it. Oh, come here. Oh, he does not want to get landed. There we go. Again, not big by any stretch of the imaginations, but a very solid fish. And he was right off that rock pile that I was fishing earlier. Look how fat he is. There you go, buddy. Even on slack line, I felt him pick that up. So this, for like ultra finesse techniques, this Venom rod, I think is going to work out just fine. This Donkey Tail on probably a 1/32 ounce jig head, and it's the full size Donkey Tail. So it's a very slow sinking lure, which I'm hoping will keep me from getting hung up in the bottom, because the Donkey Tail will keep it standing up. There we go. I don't think this one is even as big as the last one, but, and hopefully it showed up on the video, but that was one where it was drifting down, and he took it and started running, and so you saw the line take off in a different direction. It's really not that much smaller. Caught right in the corner of the mouth again. Got the string in the way. He's not getting off, that's for sure. And another nice little smallie. You know, moving up in lure size a little bit has definitely increased the size of the fish just a little bit. So the downside of using, you know, this small of a, or this large of a lure when I know there's a lot of small fish around. Those 2 earlier smallies that I caught off of that rock pile that were a little bit bigger, they're the biggest ones of the day. You know, I'd fished that pretty hard, probably just 15 minutes before. So if you're still watching at this point, are you willing to give up a little bit of action and quantity of fish caught to try to catch a little bit bigger fish? I think for me it depends on the day. Just leave a comment below and let me know. Would you have made the call to try to go away from something that was arguably catching pretty good numbers? At least there was a lot of action, even if I wasn't catching them all. Would you have gone away from that to something to try to catch, specifically target a little bit bigger fish? There we go. Little guy got it. There we go. He was probably as long as the bait. I felt him. I just let him sit there for a second because I'm like, well, he's not doing anything. There we go. It's amazing these little guys can get this in their mouth. But he hit it. I felt the line go slack and I waited just a second to then roll up, reel up and try to get on him. Honestly, I thought I missed him because I didn't feel anything at first. Another little guy. I think he got off. Nope, he's still on there. Once I get through the part of the cast that I feel like is... Did you see? I hope that showed up on video. That dark little smallie, he was chasing that thing through the rapids. Like, he really wanted that. Starting to feel like I just might have blown up a hole here, which I hate doing. Really can't see a good way up to that bridge. Maybe, unless this isn't very deep here. Like I said, it looks kind of deep. Definitely should have been a spot for some fish. Okay, so I don't know if those two sort of average smallies have been worth the slowdown in production, but we're gonna finish fishing with the donkey tail, and then I'll probably throw on like a horsefly or something to finish up and fish back down through. But it's been fun. So let's see what else we can catch. So that was the spot. It kind of looked like I didn't want to blow it up. So that's why I walked all the way around. Oh, get out of that rock. Get out of that rock. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. He was digging for that rock. Okay, got him past the rock now, I think. The drag on this micro monster, it's not real loud. You can just barely hear it. It does click a little bit. Thought I had him. Come here. Come here. Yeah, but it's a respectable little smallie. Had some nice fight to him. Nice and fat, eaten up. Here you go, buddy. Yeah, this was as I was right over there, I saw this pool and I'm like, well, I don't want to walk through that because this is one of the nicer looking spots I've seen. I think it broke off. So are we retying a leader? Oh, that's pretty good. It broke off right down near the lure. Okay. Okay, tying on a new one. I was going to go smaller, but I said, no, let's just stay this a little bit larger size, but I went to a green pumpkin color instead of the purple. And purple really rocked it all spring and early summer for me, but green pumpkin is a lot of people's favorite for a reason. There we go, first cast. It's a smaller guy, but he's got some fight. Same thing, man, there had that one little one earlier, took me into the rocks, and these last couple really tried to get it down into the rocks. Another nice smallmouth. I really thought I'd catch some other species today. Of course, after I switched to the larger lure, it probably wasn't quite as likely. Might be on almost the exact same thing that I was caught on before. That sucks. 2 casts. That time I lost my entire leader. Okay, so a big part of why I fish these offset Neds is that they really don't hang up on the bottom nearly as much. Get out of those rocks. Hey, first rock bass of the day. First rock bass of the day. Oh, calm down. They're cool fish. Look at him. He's like trying to defensive posture. Maybe the smallest of the day. Maybe. Oh, well, there was something over there. What is that? It's another rock bass. That's another rock bass. It's another Rocko. Little guy. But now if the other one didn't make it on there, at least we got this one. I always try to end on a catch. Whether it's a video or whether I'm just fishing, to be honest with you, I like to end a trip on a high note if I can. That little cool breeze that was blowing has now completely stopped. I would say the bites have stopped too, but I really haven't fished a lot of this creek today. For the first time in a long time, I was really just really slow and methodical and working through. These guys have had maybe 45 minutes to reset since I was here. So I'm actually trying to look at like the areas where I didn't catch anything. Come on, one more fish. One more fish in the net. There we go. That's a little guy, I think. Ooh, and it's a rock bass. Look at that. A fat little rock bass will put you in the net. There we go. I'd asked for one more fish. And there he is. Ow! Defensive little guy. I love these little guys. I mean, some people, I'm just happy I caught a few today. Look how fat he is. I'm gonna let him go. There you go. Well, you know, for a quick morning run to sort of... Water gets a little deep here, I forgot. Quick morning little run out to the creek, to a section I'd never fished before, just to try out the new micro monster. And you know what? It did really well. You know, I didn't catch any huge bass, but I caught a couple decent sized ones, and it was definitely a battle. But we were able to pull it off and get them in. So I'm looking forward to using this for trout for sure. And you know, we'll keep pushing it and see how much it can take. So appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time. And now I'm starting to hear a little bit of thunder, so I'm just going to reel this all the way up to the top. Okay, let's get out of here. As my wife would say, home, James. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Don't fall in. Yeah, see, the bike's way up there. I really didn't want to try to take it up this hill. I hope the bike's still up there. I don't know, does everybody go through places like this to fish? It's not every trip for me. It seems like I'm always doing it.